तिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिने नमः। नमस्ते सारस्वतीदेवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेष्टारण्ये। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री द्वैत गदाधर शिवासदि गौरभक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। Yes, text 28. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Namo Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Text 28. Bhavan Yugantarana Urmi Mamalini.
Bhavan Yugantarana Urmi Malani.
Shonim Imam Oshadhi Virudham Nijim.
Sumunam Inam Ausadhi Virudham Nidham.
Maya Sahoru Kramate Ojasa.
Maya Sahoru
Kramate Ojasa.
Tasmay Jagat Prana Ganatmane Nama Iti.
Tasmay Jagat Atman Namiti.
Yes, would someone like to read?
Very true.
Yes, please.
Hare Krishna Pranam. Thank you. Translation purport by Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. O Almighty Lord, at the end of the millennium, this planet Earth, which is source of all kinds of herbs, drugs, and trees, was invaded by water and drowned beneath the devastating waves. At that time, you protected me along with the earth and roamed the sea with great speed. O unborn one, you are the actual maintainer of the entire universal creation, and therefore you are the cause of all living causes. I offer my respectful obeisances unto you. Envious persons cannot appreciate how wonderfully the Lord creates, maintains, and heals the universe. But devotee of the Lord can understand this perfectly. Well, the devotees can see how the Lord is acting behind the wonderful working of the material nature. In Bhagavad Gita 9.2.10, Lord says, Maya Dakshini Prakriti, Vate se Chiracharam, Hitunimi Kaunte, Jagat Viparvivate. The material nature is working under my direction. O son of Kunti, and it is producing all moving and unmoving beings. By its rule, its manifestation is created and annihilation again and again. All the wonderful transformations of nature are happening under the superintendence of the Supreme Personality, Godhead, and envious persons cannot see this. But a devotee can do very humbly, and even if uneducated, can know that when all the activities of nature is the supreme hand of Supreme Being. Hare Krishna Bhaji.
Oh. Okay. Yeah, so, O Almighty Lord, at the end of the millennium, this planet Earth, which was source of all kinds of herbs, drugs, and trees, was inundated by water and drowned beneath the devastating waves. O unborn, you are the actual maintainer of the entire universal creation, and therefore you are the cause of all living entities. So Brahmaji is saying, Ishvara Parama Krishna, Satchidananda Vigraha, Anade Adar Govinda, Sarva Karana Karanam. So Ishvara Parama Krishna. So we have to understand this, these words have very specific meanings. Brahmaji is not saying Bhagwan Param Krishna. He's saying Ishwaraha Parama Krishna. The word Ishwar specifically refers to controller. Bhagavan means the most fortunate one. And Param Satya means absolute truth. So Brahmaji is using the word Ishwara. That means the absolute controller. Ishwara Parama Krishna Satyad Ananda Vigraha. He is eternal, Sat. He is conscious and he is embodiment of all bliss. Satyad Ananda Vigraha. Anadir Adir Govinda Sarva Karan Karanam. So the specific term used here is Ishwara. So everything is under the control of the Lord. Everything is operated by the will of the Lord. You know, Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, this verse which is quoted here, Maya Jakshena Prakriti Suyate Sa Characharam. Maya Jakshena Prakriti. So everything, this manifestation is acting under my instruction. Maya Jakshena Prakriti. So, Hetanu Nena Kaunteya Jagat Viparivartate. So, by its own rules, the beings are created and annihilated. So actually within this material world, what we are experiencing here is just a series of actions and reactions. We act and we get an equal reaction. The kind of body we have, the kind of mind we have, the kind of intellectual ability we possess, the kind of wealth we have, everything is just a consequence of our previous desires, the actions resulting from those desires, and the reactions to those actions. So this is how the Lord is actually acting, but it cannot be seen. So in the beginning stage of creation, when the living entity first acquires the layer of ahankar or ignorance, at that time, the living entity forgets the Lord completely. After that, he sees the cosmic manifestation, and then all sorts of desires arise in his heart based on his desire. He acquires certain modes of nature, and then those modes of nature drive his desires further. And in this way, the living entity becomes more and more implicated in the material nature. So because of that, the living entity becomes vimukha. He cannot see Krishna. Bahirmukha he becomes. Like Mahaprabhu says, Krishnera Bahirmukhaya. So he turns away from Krishna. He cannot see anything. Krishnera Bahirmukhaya Bhoga Vancha Kare. So he turns his face away and he's trying to enjoy the material nature. Nikatestha Maya Tara Japatiya Dhare. Maya is just standing next to Krishna. She's Krishna's shadow. So as soon as we don't see Krishna, we see Maya. Nikatestha Maya Tara Japatiya Dhare. So Maya immediately captures him. And then he sees only Maya. So in this way, he creates so many theories. You know, there are theories like, for example, Lokayatak philosophy we have seen. We have seen Kannada philosophy. We have seen Jaimini's philosophy. We see Patanjali's philosophy. These are all speculations. Patanjali's philosophy comes close to devotion, but falls short of it. Up to Paramatma realization, and then there is no explanation of what needs to be done once you have seen Paramatma. So it also falls short of pure devotion. So all these philosophies are nothing but speculations. Some are very refined speculations and some are very wild speculations. So nowadays we see, for example, the religion of science. It's a religion because it's just based on blind faith now. People who defend science are not even scientists anymore. Just the layman who has no idea of what science is, but he just becomes enamored by the polished language and he starts repeating the words of the scientist. So in this way, he's completely deluded. So all the time, the scientists are simply creating theories and trying to disprove the presence of the Lord. Maybe they are blind and they are leading other blind men. So this is why it is envious persons cannot see this, but a devotee, even though very humble and even if uneducated, knows that behind all activities of nature is the supreme hand of the supreme being. So a devotee knows, So Krishna says, Premanjana Churita Bhakti Vilochanena, Santaha Sadaiva Hridayeshu Vilokayanti. So Premanjana Churita, you have to see through the eyes of love. You can't just see through analytical eyes. It's impossible to understand. I mean, what to speak of God? The so-called scientists can't even understand the cosmic phenomena properly. What we call science is just a set of observations. It's not really original knowledge. Like, for instance, there is still a debate in the circles of physicists that Newtonian theory is actually the absolute theory and the so-called quantum mechanics is actually bogus. That is, quantum mechanics is actually incorrect understanding. That even the subatomic particles follow the Newtonian models of physics. In this way, we see that how the society has turned completely blind simply because they have no devotion to the Supreme Lord. So, unless one cultivates love for Godhead, one cannot understand anything about this universe or the causal phenomena. Hare Krishna. Yes, any questions or comments?
Hare Krishna, Gurudev.
Dhanyapada.
Well, it is right that most of the scientists are not believing in God.
Hmm.
But then we have in a country,
Hmm.
the Director General of Space, who launched the moon.
Hmm.
He is quite religious and he got great faith in our religion and Indian theory. He went to the Somanath Mandir, Rameshwar Mandir to visit. Then went to ISKCON temple also somewhere. And he was very much accepting it, that I believe in God and God is the one who is giving me this courage and ability. How do you have to do?
Which scientist was this, bro? I didn't get the name.
Som.
Hmm.
These days, he's the director of the space club.
See, bro, most of the people like what is happening here, India is blindly following the West, and I'm just mentioning about the Western culture now, that there is a kind of a wave of anti-theism. It's no longer no faith in God, but it's actually an active kind of a movement to remove all the mentions of God. That everything that you see is only a physical phenomena. So this kind of ignorance is now very prevalent here in the West. So this is actually coming to India also. It will be very soon coming to India if it has not already come. That there is no God. We can enjoy whatever we want. So this is actually kind of demonic thought. This is not really ignorance. This is a demonism. This is like Hiranyakashipu's thought process, that he knows who is Vishnu, but he wants to kill him. So this is a very dangerous thought, because this is very difficult to give up.
Which I agree is quite disastrous. But at the same time, if you see most of the rivalries and things happening in the universe, but our present world, is most of based on the religious thoughts. See what is happening with Israel and these Muslims. What is happening in India also. See, ISKCON people one side, other people on the other side. Then Shaivism and Vaishnavism. Similarly, Christianity, Protestants, Catholics. So all this, if we take the most of the disturbances are coming because of the clashes or being non-believer of the God. He believes what he believes is only God. Others are not God. Of course, there are not too many gods. There are only one God. But somehow the way they have been taught or read, they made it so potently rigid that for that they are prepared to do anything, including world war and everything.
So that is all just different types of atheism only. Like it is just a blind faith, it's fanaticism.
But then religion becomes the base. When we are saying we are not religious and all that.
Srila Prabhupada, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur used to say, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada, he used to say, religion without religion, philosophy without religion is dry speculation. And religion without philosophy is sentimentalism, or sometimes even fanaticism. So we see now, even in our own movement, even in our own ISKCON, we are seeing so much of fanaticism. Yeah. And therefore, we see that people don't have any more faith in Prabhupada also. Just concocting their own movements and just, creating their own messages. Somebody is a feminist, someone is a humanist, someone is this, something is that, and someone is a political minded person. All this is happening because we have no philosophy. I mean, we have philosophy, but we are not reading it.
Not reading
so
it.
If we don't follow philosophy, we become sentimentalist, and eventually we lose faith in the process. Then we concoct our own process.
That is statement of Prabhupada I've read also. And I fully agree. It's all sentimentalism.
Yeah. So it has already happened to Islam and Christianity are already just sentimentalism. They have no idea.
or the sentiments, they can go to any extent. Now, this present war is absolutely, there has no logic, because there is sentimentalism. They go, kill the people, kidnap them, and now they say you stop the war. And they are not prepared to release the people. And which is religion is going to say you kill the people in innocence?
Everyone is a demon because they're all meat eaters, they're just demons. All of them. Both the Israelis, Palestinians, everyone, they're just demons. All of them. Just thieves and rascals. All of them.
They have fanatism.
Yeah, this like in this material world, there is no one who's innocent. They're just complete nonsense rascals.
Thank you, Ravi.
Hare Krishna. So we continue text 29. Anyone has any other questions here? Text 29. Hiranmaye bhi Bhagavan nivasati kurma tanum bibhranastasya tat.
हिरण्मय अपि भगवानन् वस्ति कूर्मतनुं बिभ्राणस्तस्य तत्
प्रियतमां तनुम अर्यमा सह वर्ष पुरुषः पितृगणाधिपतिर.
प्रियतमा तनुमर्यमा सह पुरुषे वर्ष पुरुषे पितृगणाधिपति
उपधावति मंत्रम इमं चानुजपति.
उपधावति मंत्रम चानुजपति.
Yes. Would someone like to read?
May I read, Prabhuji?
Yes, please.
Thank you, Ji. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada Ji ki Jai. Translation. Sukadeva Goswami continued. In Hiranmaya Varsha, the Supreme Lord Vishnu lives in the form of tortoise, Kurma Sarira. This most dear and beautiful form is always worshipped there in devotional service by Aryama, the chief resident of Hiranmaya Varsha. Along with the other inhabitants of that land, they chant the following hymns. The word Priyatama, dearmost, is very significant in this word. Each devotee regards a particular form of the Lord as most dear. Because of an atheist mentality, some people think that the tortoise, boar, and fish incarnation of the Lord are not very beautiful. They do not know that any form of the Lord is always the fully potent personality of Godhead. Since one of his opulence is infinite beauty, all the Lord's incarnation are very beautiful and are appreciated as such by the devotees. Non-devotees, however, think that Lord Krishna's incarnation are ordinary material creations, and therefore they distinguish between the beautiful and the not beautiful. A certain form of the Lord is worshipped by a particular devotee because he loves to see that form of the Lord. As stated in Brahma Samhita 5.33, Advaitam Achyutam Anadi Ananta Rupam Adyam Puran Purusham Navayovanam Cha. The very beautiful form of the Lord is always youthful. Sincere servants of a particular form of the Lord always see that form as very beautiful, and thus they engage in the constant devotional service to him. Thank you, Ji. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Keshavadhrita Kurma Sharira Jaya Jagadisha Hare. This is what Jayadeva Goswami sings. So, Kurma form of the Lord is tortoise form. All the forms of the Lord are completely potent. That's why they're called plenary portions. Plenary means that they're complete. There's nothing, Lord is not manifesting some form which is less potent than the others. All these forms of the Lord are completely pure, they are completely powerful, and they are complete manifestations. But they are displaying only some powers. So as there are infinite living entities, so there are infinite forms of the Lord to reciprocate with those living entities. In Chandogya Upanishad, it is written that in the beginning there was the absolute, and that absolute in the beginning there was absolute infinite, and that absolute infinite divided himself into infinite parts for his own pleasure. So this infinite parts, so we are those infinitesimal parts. So infinite number of infinitesimal parts we are. And our job is only to satisfy the Supreme. Savai pumsham paro dharmo yato bhakti radhokshaji. It's our job. It's our only job actually to serve the Supreme. Jivera Sarup hoy, Krishna era Nityadas. The living entity, it is our Sarup. To serve the Supreme Lord, that's our natural position. We are by nature his parts and parcels, his servants. So therefore, according to each specific nature, because the Lord is enjoying different rasas, so living entities are also in different rasas. And Lord enjoys all of them. So for example, in the very land of Vrindavan, there are gopis who are in Madhurya ras. So they are in Parakiya Bhav, they are enjoying the separation from the Lord. And then there are elderly gopis who consider Krishna like their son. Then there are men who think Krishna like their son or like their nephew, or there are boys who play with Krishna, and there are animals. So there are different relationships that Krishna is enjoying within Vrindavan itself. So it's not that Krishna is handsome, so all gopis are attracted in Madhurya Bhav. No, some are attracted in Vatsalya Bhav. So that is Krishna's nature. So even in that form, he exhibits so many rasas, what to speak of so many other forms. So all these forms of the Lord are equally lovable, they are equally beautiful, depending on the taste of the particular devotee. Hare Krishna. Is there any questions or comments?
And then, Prabhuji, how does that devotee develops a particular taste about a particular form?
This particular taste is already existing. It is uncovered by constant chanting. When you constantly chant the holy names of Krishna, this taste that you have in your heart is uncovered.
मतलब स्वरूप जैसे स्वरूप का
So the Swarup is already existing. This Swarup is already existing. It is covered over now. So when you start chanting more and more, the Swarup becomes uncovered. So of course there is some controversy, like some Sahajiyas say that no, you should meditate on particular form or something. But Srila Prabhupada advised us only to chant. Gradually Krishna will reveal the path. Like Bhaktivinoda Thakur in Jaiva Dharma warns. He's warning that sometimes a devotee may have a tendency to become attracted to the impersonal Brahman or even to the Vaikuntha forms of the Lord. So a devotee should constantly meditate on the transcendental forms of Radha and Krishna. So Sahajiyas take advantage of that, and then they say that, hey, whatever you are, you can actually become a gopi in Madhurya Rasa. Prabhupada considers that to be Mayavad. I mean, imagine like if I'm a boy in Golok, Vrindavan, and I'm only meditating on this form of gopis and gopis. One day I may become a female in this life. After suffering in the female body for many, many births, then I'll realize, oh, maybe I should simply chant and go back to God, and then I'll realize my original form.
Okay. Style of mercy, Krishna has. Thank you.
Actually, that's the point, like we are prescribed only chanting. Only chanting, because we don't know what is Swarup. In this life, we see the transcendental pastimes of Radha, Krishna, and gopis as mundane. In this life, we have this strong sexual misconception, male and female. Strong misconception. So when we try to think of gopis and Krishna, that misconception colors our thoughts. And we are no longer free to think independently about Krishna.
Yes.
So tapasya means completely. So Goswamis, they leave their families, they leave everything. And then they become sannyasis, and then they can meditate on these Madhurya pastimes.
Prabhuji, can I also request one more thing? ये जो केशवानंद प्रभु जी का, there is a lecture that says ये 3 चीजें करो and नाम जप set हो जाएगा. It's a short video. Is it possible we can have one lecture on this? Like maybe you can enlighten us. उसमें वो steps discuss कर रहे हैं. Can we just elaborate those?
So maybe we can ask Keshavananda Prabhu himself. Why give interpretation to his thoughts? We can invite him only to speak.
ठीक है जी, that will be nice too. Anything, that will be so nice to hear this in more detail.
Yeah.
Because he's talking about practical application of Bhagavad Gita now.
So we'll invite him, not to worry. Maybe next week we can try. We can speak with Pranav Prabhu also.
Oh,
Anyway, I
thank you,
also have to
Prabhuji.
speak with him, so maybe we can invite him.
ठीक है, thank you so much, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. Thank you, ji.
Hare Krishna. So we continue. Text 31. Oh, no, text 30.
30 जी.
ओम नमो भगवते अकुरूपाराय सर्वसत्व गुण विशेषणाय अनुपलक्षित स्थानाय नमो वर्षमणे नमो भूमने नमो नमो वस्थानाय नमस्ते.
ओम नमो
Om
भगवते
Namo
अकुपाराय
Bhagavate
सर्वसत्व गुणा
Visheshana
विशेषणा यानुपलक्षित स्थानाय नमो वर्षमणे नमो भूर्मे नमो नमो वस्थानाय नमस्ते.
Read through.
Yes, please.
Translation and purport by His Divine Grace from Prabhupada. Translation. O my Lord, I offer my respectful obeisances unto you. You have assumed the form of a tortoise. You are the reservoir of all transcendental qualities, and being entirely untinged by matter. You are perfectly situated in pure goodness. You move here and there in water, but no one can discern your position. Therefore, I offer my respectful obeisances unto you. Because of your transcendental position, you are not limited by past, present, and future. You are present everywhere as a shelter of all things. Therefore, I offer my respectful obeisances unto you again and again. Purport. In the Brahma Samhita it is said, Goloke eva nivastati akilatma bhutaha. The Lord always remained in Goloka, supreme topmost planet in the spiritual world. At that same time, he is all-pervading. Paradox is only possible for the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is full of opulences. The Lord's all-pervasiveness is confirmed in Bhagavad Gita 18.61, where Krishna states, Ishvara Sarva Bhutanam Trididesya Arjuna Tistati. The Supreme Lord is situated in everyone's heart, O Arjuna. Elsewhere in Bhagavad Gita 15.15, the Lord says, Sarvasya Chaham Siddhi Sannivishtaha Mata Sprati Jnanam Apohanam Cha. I am situated in everyone's heart, and from me come remembrance, knowledge, and forgetfulness. Therefore, although the Lord is present everywhere, and he cannot be seen with ordinary eyes, as Aryama says, the Lord is Anupalakshita Sana. No one can locate him. This is the greatness of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Hare Krishna.
ईश्वर सर्वभूतानां हृदयेशे अर्जुन तिष्ठति. भ्राम्यमि सर्वभूतानि भूतानि भ्रामयम सर्वभूतानि यंत्रारूढ़ानि मायया. The Lord is situated in everyone's heart, and He's giving the intelligence. So He's giving the intelligence, He's giving knowledge, and He's also directing. Sarvasya chaham hridhi sannivishto mattah smritir jnanam apohanancha. So yantrarunani maya. So everyone is working as if seated on a material machine. So Lord is directing also. So Lord is actually the active principle. Lord is the complete active principle within this material universe and even the spiritual worlds. That's why He's called the Supreme Absolute Truth. If you remember, at the very beginning of Srimad Bhagavatam discussion, Srila Prabhupada had written one very important sentence. He said the concept of God and the absolute truth are not on the same platform. Anyone who's powerful can be considered God, but the supreme absolute truth can only be one. So Krishna is the absolute truth. That includes all the living entities and all the gods also. So the concept of God is a subset of the concept of absolute truth. So although the Lord is present everywhere, He cannot be seen with ordinary eyes. For example, if an ant is crawling on the wheels of a truck, she can't perceive what the truck is like. Or for example, on our skin, there are so many viruses and bacteria. These bacteria cannot perceive who we are. They cannot understand who we are. Though they may know, they can perceive the movement or the energy or the nutrition, but they have no idea who we are. So our position is also exactly like that. So they are also like exactly like that. So we are also situated on the absolute truth, but we have no conception of what that absolute truth is. So unless we develop loving devotion to the Lord, we cannot really understand who we are and who the Supreme Lord is. So in fact, in one of the Upanishads, now I'm not remembering the name, it is mentioned that, oh Lord, please. Actually, it is in Ishopanishad only. That, oh Lord, please remove this blazing effulgence and let us see your beautiful form. So we cannot see the Lord because he's covered by his blazing form. So Krishna is manifest in his two-armed form. Like when Arjun requested Krishna to show his universal form, the Lord showed the absolute truth there. He showed all the material manifestations there. And Arjun could even see the time factor. But Arjun became frightened when he saw that, because he could see even himself in that form. And he could see the destruction of all the Kuru dynasty and everything. And that form he found very frightening. Therefore, he requested the Lord to manifest in his original form. Then the Lord manifested the four-handed form, and then finally the two-handed form. So Krishna, ye yatha mam prapadyante tam tathaiva bhajami. So whichever way you want, Krishna reciprocates in that way. When the gopis, when they became proud, Krishna disappeared. When gopis became proud that Krishna was dancing only with them, Krishna disappeared because he could not tolerate pride in the pure hearts of the gopis. So he manifested as Narayan. And when they completely neglected that form and they started crying for Krishna, at that time Krishna manifested himself. Hare Krishna. Yes. Any questions or comments?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. I have two questions.
Hmm.
Prabhuji, one, you said the supreme active God, Krishna is supreme active principle. Isko please elaborate कीजिए. What do we mean by supreme active principle?
So that verse, from Bhagavad Gita, 18th chapter that we read. Ishvara sarvabhutanam hridadeshe arjuna tishtati. Bhamayam sarvabhutani yantrarunani mayaya. So Srila Prabhupada actually was also explaining this concept. He says that Krishna is present even within the atoms. Then the so-called atomic movements, the subatomic movements, even they are controlled by the Lord only. These universal movements are held by Sankarshan. The Sankarshan is not present, the planets will collapse into each other, like it happens during Mahapralaya. At that time, all the mass collapses. Scientists are very fond of, zero-point energy and, collapse of all mass. So that actually happens at the time of Mahapralaya, when Brahma's demise takes place. So Krishna is the active principle. So Krishna is saying, sarvasya chaham hridi shanti vishto mattah smritir jnanam apohanam cha. So smriti and jnana, remembrance, knowledge, and apohanam, forgetfulness, they're coming from Krishna. If all of this is coming from Krishna, then that means that Krishna must be the only active principle. We see the rivers flowing. How do they flow? How is the ocean churning all the time?
Yes.
So Krishna is the supreme active principle.
एक और question. When you said Arjuna requested the universe, upon Arjuna's request, Krishna showed the universal form. वो जो universal form है, is that absolute truth? या that is universal form, absolute truth में कोई फर्क है?
Universal form, absolute truth में, universal form was just the universal form. He was showing the universe there. Absolute truth is everything, spiritual, material, everything.
उसमें तीनों है, भगवान, परमात्मा and Brahman. ठीक है जी. ठीक है.
यूनिवर्सल फॉर्म में सिर्फ यूनिवर्स ही दिख रहा था, इसीलिए उसको यूनिवर्सल कहा गया, एब्सोल्यूट फॉर्म नहीं कहा गया.
ठीक है जी. थैंक यू प्रभु जी. हरे कृष्णा जी.
So any other questions or comments? See, these are not merely analytical descriptions of the Lord. Please try to focus. This is pure devotion. Srila Prabhupada is describing all the devotion of these verses. So if you pay attention, you will see devotion here. So if you are finding it very uninspiring or boring or repetitive, then you need to correct your chanting. This is very, very inspiring, these verses.
Also,
Yes,
can I ask one more? Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah.
Prabhuji, can I ask then again one more question?
Yeah, please.
Ek here, Aryama says the Lord is anupalakshita sthana. No one can locate him. And so इसको इस तरह से समझे, no one can locate him, yet वो जो the verse आता है अदुर्लभम आत्म भक्तो, devotees can with his mercy, है ना? ठीक है जी.
Adurlabham Atma Bhakto. Those who worship him, they can know him.
ठीक है जी. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yes, Maruta Prabhu, you had something also?
No, Prabhu. Not.
Okay. Okay, so we stop here today then. We continue tomorrow. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai.
Dandavat pranam.
Jai Krishna
Jai.
Prabhu, Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji.